Nicole Scott here from Mobile Geeks. I'm here in Toronto, Ontario, and I'm going to be reviewing the iPhone 7 Plus. I'm actually shooting this with the front-facing camera, but I'm using a Shure microphone attached to the Lightning port because, well, Apple's native microphone kind of sucks. If you want to find out what I thought of the rest of the phone, well, stay tuned. So the big question everyone's been asking me is, what about the camera? Is the camera worth the upgrade? If you have the 6S, this alone wouldn't be enough reason for me to upgrade. The telephoto lens doesn't have optical image stabilization, so you go 2x and it's too shaky. And it isn't the best at low light like everyone keeps talking about. It's good, but I'd say it's on par with what Samsung's doing. Depending on the shot, Samsung might take it, or it might be the iPhone. The iPhone 7 is what I consider to be flagship quality low light. Is it the best camera that Apple's ever made? Obviously. Is it industry competitive? It sure is. Is it the best that's out there? I'm not so sure. After a month of waiting, the camera finally got updated to the beta version, which gives you portrait mode. The bokeh effect obviously isn't quite as accurate as the results in a DSLR, but there are obvious limitations to what software can do. But the difference is negligible when sharing photos on the internet or on social media. Portrait mode is particularly impressive with good lighting, so you'll want to ensure that your subject is well lit, because it won't work in poor lighting. And when it does get just enough light to work, the results are often riddled with errors. Next up, most people who meet me are interested in upgrading for the performance, which is appreciably snappier than it was on the iPhone 6s Plus, mainly in areas of app start times and reloading cached content. This extra gig of RAM makes a pretty big difference in the number of tabs that Safari can keep open in its memory. Overall though, the performance improvements seem to be more substantial on paper than they are in practice. I would say upgrade from the 6, not the 6s. The battery life is good, but it's not significantly better than the 6S Plus. I'd say it's marginally better. But in the first month, I have been taking a lot of photos. I'd say an average of 30 to 35% of my battery heads there a day. Having said that, there's the odd day where if I'm just using social, email, streaming music, and a few YouTube videos, I'm at 50% at 11 p.m. If you don't use the camera, I'd say it's capable of being a battery life beast. Now what about this missing headphone jack? There were so many amazing jokes, but the only time that it was ever really an issue for me was when I couldn't find the pair of headphones that had an adapter connected to it. I used to use more than one set of headphones on the go, now I can only have one. I do have a Bluetooth set, and I rarely run into the problem of charging them. Listening to music from your iPhone still sounds a bit like it's coming from a tin can, but comparing it to the last generation, it's a significant improvement. It's easier to watch and share videos since you don't have to turn it all the way up. It's just easier to hear what's coming out of the phone. The new home button is pure luxury. It feels so well built, and the haptic feedback is perfect. This is really my favorite feature of the new iPhone. If you think back to the launch, the other feature that Apple pushed was the wide gamut screen. Honestly, the display is nice, it's really nice, but when you're used to using AMOLED displays on Android devices, saturation isn't novel. I also don't think it's more colorful or more rich than any of the other displays that are on the market. Maybe we'll have to wait for Instagram to roll out full wide gamut support to really get the most out of it. Adding water resistance is a massive deal for me. I'm constantly almost dunking my phone in the lake, and living in Taiwan, getting caught in the rain happens to me more often than I'd like to admit. A month later, I still think the bezels are too big, and overall the phone looks nice, but it does seem a little bit dated. It also feels unnecessarily big. I do like big display phones, but there's just so much bulk that it just seems a bit unnecessary. The camera's great, but I'm not sure if it's enough to keep me. So should you upgrade? My final thoughts are, if you have the 6, absolutely. If you have the 6S, it's a pretty minor upgrade. The camera is good, but it's not a massive leap forward during the low light performance. 1 month in, those are my thoughts. Nicole Scott here from Mobile Geeks.